Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's great to have you here again. I hope you're having an absolutely amazing day, no matter where you are in this incredible world of ours. Today, we're diving deep into XRP. And let me tell you, there's some fascinating stuff happening that you need to know about. Let's kick things off with something that's got the entire XRP community buzzing. Ripple just dropped a brand new banner on their social media. And honestly, it's got everyone scratching their heads trying to figure out what they're telling us. Here's what I'm seeing, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this. First, there's Wall Street front and center. Could Ripple be hinting that Wall Street is finally ready to jump into the game? That would be huge. Then we've got a bull run, and you know what that means. Either we're still riding this incredible bull run, or there's an even bigger one coming our way. But here's where it gets really interesting. There's a clock in the image. Now, call me crazy, but that feels like they're telling us time is running out. Like, hey, get positioned now before it's too late. And then, this is the part that's really got people talking. There's what looks like a receipt showing 1,984.10 euros. Is that a price prediction? Is Ripple dropping hints about where XRP is headed? Honestly, we just don't know for sure what this banner means, but the speculation is absolutely wild right now. What do you think they're trying to tell us? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. Now, before we go any further, I need to address something I see all the time in the comments. People asking, how do I buy Ripple shares? Listen up, because this is super important to understand. As a retail investor, you don't buy Ripple shares, you buy XRP, the cryptocurrency. Here's the breakdown that'll make everything crystal clear. Ripple is the company. They're the ones selling software solutions like RippleNet to banks and financial institutions. XRP is the cryptocurrency, that's what we buy and trade. The XRP ledger is the blockchain that powers it all. And here's the key point. XRP isn't the blockchain itself. This is exactly why I keep telling you guys about the massive potential here. When tokenized assets start flooding onto the XRP ledger, just imagine all that value flowing through the system, with XRP moving that value every single day. XRP acts as this incredible bridge currency that can move anything of value. It could even handle US dollars in its current form. Now, let's talk about something that's completely changing the game. Raoul Pal recently made a statement that's got everyone talking. He said, the 4-year cycle is now a 5-year cycle. Take a listen to this.
Why is Bitcoin sort of not wildly off to the races yet? And it's this chart. Bitcoin is basically, this is a detrended Bitcoin, and it's basically the ISM, which is the business cycle. Remember, we've always said it's the business cycle stupid. It is always the business cycle stupid. And all of these people who claim it's the 4-year cycle based around this and that, they don't understand the fundamental of what the business cycle is, why there's a 4-year cycle in everything. And we've explained it. We'll go through it in great detail tomorrow in our Everything Code presentation, but basically it's following the ISM. And rates have been following the same pattern. You see, rates should have come lower. They need to come lower because we need to roll the debt. We've talked about this. That's part of the Everything Code, fundamental part. And ISM, because rates are so high, has meant that Main Street has been screwed while Wall Street's made money from debasement. Earnings versus scarce assets. This is the issue that they need to solve, and they need to get rates lower. They get rates lower. Why? Why do we have an elongated business cycle that looks like virtually no other real other time? It's because, and I only just found this out redoing the work on the Everything Code recently, is that in 2021-22, they actually extended the maturity of the debt from 4 years to 5 years. So that extension of the maturity of debt has pushed out the business cycle a year. The 4-year cycle this time around is a 5-year cycle. We don't know what the next one will be until we see where they all end up getting refinanced, whether it comes back to 4 because they managed to get some stuff at the long end, or whether they shorten it because everything's in the short end. We don't know yet, but this one is a 5-year cycle. And this is what it looks like. A 5.4-year sine curve. 5.4 years is the exact average weighted maturity of the debt. And it tells us the ISM should peak by 2026. We think liquidity probably peaks before that, as the rate of change of ISM changes. and the rate of change of liquidity changes, our best guess remains well into 2026, probably Q2.
He actually called this before the crash we just witnessed, where Bitcoin tumbled below $93K. And you know what? I still think Bitcoin might have one last move up in it before the real crash hits. But honestly, I'm starting to lose faith that it's going to happen. Everything feels different now. The narrative is shifting right before our eyes. In my opinion, the 4-year cycle is dead, at least for Bitcoin and Ethereum. But here's what I think is really happening. We're about to enter what I'm calling a utility cycle or a utility run. Check this out. Stablecoin liquidity is showing a clear uptrend, but Bitcoin isn't following. Why? Because stablecoins are completely stealing the show. Think about it for a second. What have they always told us about Bitcoin? Sell your US dollars and buy Bitcoin. You need Bitcoin to hedge against the US dollar. But now we have stablecoins pegged to the US dollar, and they're expanding dollar access to places that never had it before. We're talking about third world countries getting access to US dollars through stablecoins. For the first time ever, stablecoins have literally opened up the entire globe to the US dollar, and that's exactly why Bitcoin is losing its narrative. It was always supposed to be about hedging against the dollar, replacing the banks, disrupting the system. But guess what? The banks aren't going anywhere. The US dollar isn't going anywhere. And nobody's in any hurry to adopt Bitcoin for actual payments because it's way too slow and way too expensive. Here's the data that's telling the real story. $867 million just fled Bitcoin ETFs during the recent dip below $100K. And it's not just Bitcoin. They're even mentioning XRP ETFs going live, Solana ETFs in the works, and even Ethereum ETFs are bleeding money. This entire space is transforming right before our eyes. The mainstream media is desperately trying to keep the old narrative alive, but it's cracking more every single day. What's really happening is simple. Money is starting to flow away from Bitcoin and into other alternatives that actually provide real utility. And that's exactly why I still believe XRP ETFs are going to absolutely crush Bitcoin ETFs in the long run. Speaking of Bitcoin struggling, listen to this. Goldbug, Peter Schiff, just came out swinging, saying MicroStrategy's entire business model is a fraud and the MSTR will eventually go bankrupt. And you know what? I think he might be onto something. He's not the only one saying this either. Kevin O'Leary has made similar statements. And here's the thing that really gets me thinking. They're saying this at a very specific time, and I don't think that's a coincidence. Then there's this whole Jeffrey Epstein and Bitcoin Pizza Day connection that's suddenly making headlines. Now they're trying to tie Bitcoin to some really dark stuff, enabling illicit activities, and worse. This narrative literally came out of nowhere, and I think it dropped on purpose at exactly this moment. Look at what's happening to Bitcoin's price right now. It's been tanking day after day. I'm seriously starting to believe this cycle might be over for Bitcoin. Though deep down, I still think it might have one more mega move before everything comes crashing down. Will it hit $200K? I seriously doubt it. Will it hit $150K? There's a possibility, but honestly, the narrative is shifting big time, and that 4-year cycle, it's definitely over. Here's an incredible statistic from JP Morgan that tells you everything you need to know about where we're headed. In 2024, 37% of 2 5-year-olds are using investment accounts. Compare that to 2015, when only 6% of 2 5-year-olds were investing. What's happening is simple. People are finally waking up and realizing they can't keep living paycheck to paycheck. They need to make their money work for them. And when they have some extra cash to invest, where are they putting it? Crypto. We're seeing new crypto investors every single day. And here's why that's so exciting. Crypto is hands down the greatest opportunity you have to break away from the 9-to-5 grind and escape the matrix. Think about it. You can come into crypto with as little as $10 or $20 and potentially walk away with life-changing money. You could even achieve complete financial freedom if you hold the right cryptocurrencies. Compare that to the stock market. Maybe you get a 5% or 10% move here and there, and that's it. Unless you're starting with serious money, you're not walking out of the stock market as a multi-millionaire. Sure, it happens occasionally, but you've got to get incredibly lucky. But with crypto, if you invest in the right cryptocurrencies, you're not even gambling. You're investing in technologies that are going to play crucial roles in our future. The internet of value is absolutely coming, whether people realize it or not. Now, here's the news everyone's been waiting for. According to Diana's latest update, Franklin Templeton's XRP ETF goes live tomorrow, and Bitwise is right behind them on November 20th. Like I've been saying, this week is going to be absolutely massive for XRP. I can't wait to see how much XRP these ETFs end up buying on day one. I think Franklin Templeton is going to have a huge first day, probably even bigger than what we saw with Canary. And honestly, I think the same thing's going to happen with all the other ETFs following behind. Analysts are already saying that Franklin Templeton's XRP ETF could match or even exceed Canary's huge day one volume. And that makes perfect sense. Big money prefers allocating through heavyweight institutions like Franklin Templeton. They're absolutely massive compared to Canary. Chad Steingraber just broke down the XRP ETF situation in the simplest terms possible. And it's absolutely mind-blowing when you think about it. He says, there are only two possible scenarios now that XRP spot ETFs are launching. Scenario 1, XRP's price stays roughly where it is, and the ETFs end up absorbing the entire circulating supply within 12 months. Scenario 2, XRP's price rises dramatically and ETFs buy less simply because each token costs more. Either way, it's bullish. Either the ETFs completely drain the available supply, or the price explodes upward to balance demand. There is literally no bearish path in this equation. Think about that for a second. No matter what happens, XRP wins. And I completely agree with that analysis. I think these ETFs are going to absolutely rocket the price upward, and it's going to start happening very soon. Let me remind you one more time, tomorrow is the day. The Franklin Templeton ETF goes live, and this could be the catalyst we've all been waiting for. But here's something even bigger that most people aren't talking about. Ripple has Tier 1 banks as partners, and there's a reason for that. XRP is going to be classified as Tier 1 by the Biz Bank for international settlements. You read that right. XRP will become a Tier 1 asset alongside gold. And let me tell you something, most XRP holders have absolutely no idea what's coming when this happens. Once the BIS classifies XRP as a Tier 1 asset, that's it, game over. We're instantly going to see XRP jump in price like never before. It'll literally be like flipping a switch. One moment it's one price, the next moment it's in completely different territory. And here's the kicker, this could happen ahead of Basel III implementation in January. There's actually a real chance this could still happen by the end of this year. Think about that as a potential short-term catalyst on top of everything else we've got going. What I'm telling you is simple. Everything going forward is nothing but bullish for XRP. I don't care how you look at it or what angle you take, it's all pointing up. Anyone thinking about selling now is going to have instant regrets once this price breaks out. And that breakout? It's absolutely coming. There's no question about it. I still believe a massive amount of money is going to shift from Bitcoin into XRP. And honestly, I think it's already been happening quietly in the background. You want proof? Look at all these Bitcoin maximalists who are suddenly jumping on board with XRP. Years ago, these same people wouldn't even mention this cryptocurrency. Now they're talking about XRP every single time they get on camera or post online. Why the sudden change? I think it's two things. First, they're terrified that XRP is eventually going to flip Bitcoin, and they can see the writing on the wall. Second, they've got serious FOMO. They don't want to miss out on something as potentially massive as what XRP is building toward. Just look at that XRP chart. It is absolutely mind-blowing. That chart alone should tell you everything you need to know about why you should be accumulating this asset. Because once it breaks out, and I'm telling you it's going to break out, the FOMO is going to be absolutely insane. People are going to be scrambling to get in at any price. Until all of this unfolds, here's my advice. Stay patient. The setup is there, the fundamentals are there, the institutional adoption is there, and the regulatory clarity is coming. Everything is lining up perfectly. Tomorrow could be the beginning of something incredible for XRP. Are you positioned and ready? What's your price target when this all kicks off? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I love hearing from you guys. And if this video got you fired up about XRP's potential, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update.